On a regular day, if a person wants a daven ma'ariv early, lefi shitas Rabbi Yehuda, a person could daven ma'ariv even before night, after the plag. We're not going into the Indian of davening ma'ariv after plag, that's its own discussion, but al kaponim lefi shitas Rabbi Yehuda, you could daven ma'ariv even ba'oid yoim, you could daven ma'ariv. At kedei kach, let's take an example. Tomorrow, Monday, Erev Rosh Chodesh, you're going to daven ma'ariv after the plag, daven ma'ariv at 3:45 in the afternoon. It's Erev Rosh Chodesh. The ma'ariv is a ma'ariv that belongs to Rosh Chodesh. You say Ya'alav Yavai. The same halach is if you daven ma'ariv coming up Chanukah, Erev Chanukah. Chanukah starts Thursday night. You daven ma'ariv Thursday afternoon. You say Ala Nisim. The same thing is Purim. As a matter of fact, the makoyer of the halacha that you could say already Ya'alav Yavai and Ala Nisim on Erev Chanukah, Erev Purim is a Sharat Tzion and Hilchos Purim. However, even though you could daven ma'ariv before, that doesn't mean that it's night already. But often, if somebody makes an early Yom Tif, you could make an early Yom Tif, but it doesn't mean that it's Yom Tif already, that it's night, that you could eat matzah. Tosfos and Pesachim and Arab Pesachim in the beginning discusses this concept. You could daven ma'ariv, but it's not Yom Tif yet, you can't sit in the sukkah, you can't eat matzah. Let's try to figure out Lagabi Shabbos. Comes Shabbos, a person, Avada, when does Shabbos start? The Torah said, the Pasuk says, Zocher Sema Shabbos Lakachay. So when does it start? When does Shabbos start? Shabbos starts by nightfall. Avada, because Bein Hashmashos we don't know, so Mamela, Bein Hashmashos is a suffix. A person wants to bring on Shabbos early, whether if it's because he wants to make an early Shabbos, or even at an early Shabbos, he wants to be Makayim, the din of Tosfos Shabbos, to bring on Shabbos early. It's not going to help to just not do Malacha. You come to Shul 20 minutes before Shkia, and you just stop doing Malacha, you're not being Makabel Shabbos early. But I left out a point, I'm sorry. So what's by Shabbos when you Makabel Shabbos early? What's the gather different than Ma'ariv? When a person's Makabel Shabbos early, it is Shabbos already, that a person can eat the Suda, a person can make Kiddush. Friday afternoon, if a person makes early Shabbos, the Makor is a Gemara. We're not going into early Shabbos, but the Musig, you can be Makabel Shabbos already early, and at Shabbos you can make Kiddush. How are you Makabel Shabbos? How are you Makabel Shabbos? You have to be Makabel Shabbos. If you're not Makabel Shabbos, then it's not Shabbos. You're sitting in Shul 20 minutes before Shabbos, and you're not doing Malacha, it's not Shabbos. And you can't make Kiddush. You need a Makabel Shabbos. How are you Makabel Shabbos? So like it's Mavur and Shulchan Aruch, the Shulchan Aruch says, with Baruch Hu, Zokta Machaber Vayter, Va'anan, that we say Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbos, so Makabel Shabbos with Mizmor Shir. Zokta Meshemur in two places, that because we say L'chadoidi Boi B'Shalom, Boi Yichala, the Kabbolas Shabbos is over here. Al Kol Ponim, the Kabbolas Shabbos is by saying I'm being Makabel Shabbos, or by davening. Baruch Hu is the Kabbolas Shabbos. Mizmor Shir, Boi Yichala, that's the Kabbolas Shabbos. Now we'll begin the Shiur, and we're going to focus on the Shitas HaBahag, Reish Samach Gimel Sif Yud. In the previous, Reb Zevi gave a Gavaldige Chabur on the previous Seifim, on the location where to light. But let's say we figured out already the best place, you know where to light, and now you want to go on light. Zok the Bahag, the Shitas HaBahag, we just mentioned up until now, the last 2-3 minutes, that you Makabel Shabbos by saying Mizmor Shir. You have to verbally be Makabel Shabbos. Zok the Bahag, a Chiddush from the Bahag, that even without saying you're being Makabel Shabbos, by lighting Neiros of Shabbos, you Makabel Shabbos. Shitas HaBahag. What part of the Hadlokas Neiros is the Kabbolas Shabbos? So that we have to turn back to Sif Hey. But before we turn back to Sif Hey, right in Sif Yud, Zok the Shulchan Aruch, it's with lighting and making that bracha, both. I said it the wrong way. After they made a bracha and they lit, that's a Kabbolas Shabbos. To say you didn't say anything, you didn't say being Makabel Shabbos, you didn't daven yet, you didn't say Mizmah Shiliyah Shabbos, you made a bracha lahadlik Neiros shel Shabbos, and you lit Neiros, that's a Kabbolas Shabbos. And the reason why you would pick this Seder to make the bracha and then light, as we mentioned in the previous Shiur, lighting Neiros is one of the mitzvahs d'Rabbanan. Every mitzvah that you do, you make a bracha oivel asiyah, so lahadlik Neiros shel Shabbos. So you make the bracha first, and after the bracha, you light. Once you made the bracha already, Makabel Shabbos. The answer is you weren't Makabel Shabbos. There's no Kabbalas Shabbos with the bracha. Lahadlik Neiros shel Shabbos. That means I'm lighting Neiros for Shabbos, but I'm not being Makabel Shabbos yet. When am I being Makabel Shabbos, as we said with the Bahag, a Chiddush, that you Makabel Shabbos without saying anything? With the Hadlokas Neiros. That's the Kabbolas Shabbos. Agav, the Chaim asks, if you Makabel Shabbos with the Hadlokas Neiros, so a person, you light as many kids, the Chayra, once you lit one Neir, you were already yoytze the mitzvah. And if you were yoytze the mitzvah, there's a Kabbolas Shabbos, how could you continue? So for that, the Chaim says, it's all considered like one big mitzvah, all the Neiros is like one Neir. So Mela, L'chayra Pashit, the Pshat is that Mela, even after the first Neir, you're still in the middle doing the mitzvah. But Al Kopanim, once you finish lighting all the Neiros, you have a Kabbolas Shabbos without saying anything, without doing anything. You finish lighting Neiros Shabbos, is a Kabbolas Shabbos. Zok the Shulchan Aruch, Val Pi Zeh. Talk when?
In between lighting. Meaning like after you light one, before you light the second one.
So that would be the same thing like Ner Chanukah, Chedayma. It's part of the mitzvah. When you take a bracha, the Nanuim, if you talk before your madlik, so you have to just make a new bracha. If you speak out after you already did one neir, you were yoytze the mitzvah, you don't have to make another bracha. But avada, you shouldn't talk till you finish the whole mitzvah.
Maybe you didn't make the bracha. The bracha after.
What'd you say?
The bracha after.
The Vailu were going like what the Shulchan Aruch says that you made the bracha and then you madlik. That's the pashtus haseder. Avada, we're going to get to it. We're going to get to it when noig not like that, but the pashas make the bracha and then you light, and right after you finish lighting, that's when the Kabbolas Shabbos is. From the Rishonim, from the Shbali Aleket, the Talmud of Rashi, the Lo'or Zeh, once you finish lighting Neiros, you shouldn't put out the match because it's Shabbos already. Right when you're finished, you have to put down the match. Even that, Zogan da Achroinim, when you put it down, don't drop it down in a way that when it falls down, it'll go out right away, because that's weiter psik reisha. Put it down carefully, but often it'll eventually go out. So that's up to Shulchan Aruch, Noyagu Miktsas Noshim, that when they finish lighting the candles, they don't put out the fire, they just put it down on the side. Why? Because with lighting, when you finish all the Hadlokas Neiros, these are Kabbolas Shabbos. Me'idach, which that's a minig of most, that you first light, Shabbos, you first light, and then afterwards you make the bracha. Why? Because we're choishish that with the bracha, these are Kabbolas Shabbos, so Mamela, you first light, and then you make the bracha. Which Agav, Reb Shlomo Zalman says, that if a lady by mistake made the bracha first, she could zecha light. Because it's for sure, not even so much like what we'll see soon, we'll get into Tanai, she could for sure light, because as we mentioned before, the shita that holds, when you make the bracha, you're not Makabel Shabbos only after the lighting, it's for sure that when this lady made the bracha, she for sure did not mean to be Makabel Shabbos. Al Kaponim, the other shita is in Sif Hey, that you first light the Neiros and then you make a bracha. I oivel asiyasa, so we're familiar, she covers her eyes, she's not nehaneh from the oil, so maybe it's oivel asiyasa when you make the bracha on the hana that's going to come afterwards. But what comes out Lafi this? Lafi this, is there any reason to be makbid not to put out the match? Das heißt, you lit all the Neiros, you could go and you could put out the match, and then afterwards you make the bracha, you makabel Shabbos, and that's taka the pashtus. The Aruch HaShulchan says, light what we do, that we first light and then we make the bracha. So you light, you could put out the match, Aruch HaShulchan see if you daled, and after you put out the match, you make the bracha, you makabel Shabbos. Furthermore, Zaktav Shleim Zalman, these got even a maila to bedafka put out the match to show that you're not being makabel Shabbos with the lighting, you're being makabel Shabbos only afterwards with the bracha.
Put it after hefsek. You're doing something between the lighting and the bracha.
So why would there be a problem of hefsek?
You're breaking up the bracha to the mitzvah.
So very good. What you're saying, the Kloisenberg Rebbe says, and we'll see in a minute, the shaila is, let's see if we can understand the concept of hefsek. What'd you say? So what's the problem of hefsek? There's a hefsek between the hadloka and the bracha. I mean, you're lighting it, then you're not in the hand, you're making a bracha. What do you have to come on? Here's a zach like this. Lamaisa, there's still those that are noyig not to put out the fire, even when they make the bracha afterwards. So why? Why should you not put out why could you not? What's the mokim linug not to put out the fire before the bracha if you weren't makabel Shabbos yet? What'd you say? We'll get to Yom Tov. Yom Tov, you b'chlal can't put it out there. It's pashut. You can't put it out. He said, Atu Yom Tov.
The Bahag say bracha.
What'd say?
The Bahag say bracha. Bahag didn't clearly say bracha, right? He said Hadlokas.
Oh, very good. So first of all, the Ben Ish Chai spells it out clearly. The Ben Ish Chai says, Taka, that you light the Neiros, then you put down the match. You don't put it out, and then afterwards you make the bracha. So what's the makam taka to be choshish? Very good. Like Reb Zev is saying, that's one teretz brought in the Achroinim, that will choshish that with the hadloka itself we're makabel Shabbos. That means very clear. In the beginning we saw one shita that you make the bracha and you light, and that's the Kabbolas Shabbos. The pashtus you understand is it's the bracha and the lighting, both. The bracha and the lighting. After you made the bracha and you lit, now you're makabel Shabbos. So if you're doing it the other way around, first you're lighting, and then you make a bracha, so you should be able to put out the match. The teretz is choshish that with the hadloka itself, you're already makabel Shabbos. And therefore, even if you're only madlik, what we do, you're still a mokum to be choshish and not to put out the fire, because with the hadloka itself is the Kabbolas Shabbos. What'd you say?
If you go that mahal and you lose oil asiyasam.
So Lamais is like this. Oil asiyasam, you have to come onto the yishuv that the pshat is that you cover your eyes. That's the oil asiyasam. But we're focusing that with the hadloka itself, you makabel Shabbos.
Right, but you want to be makabel Shabbos before. You want to be makabel Shabbos after you have a no? What
is Kabbalah? The Bahag says you makabel Shabbos with the hadloka, but let's say the kiyum mitzvah, the nehena is later. The bracha, the mitzvah is the oynik Shabbos. So you have the hana later, but the Kabbalah could have been before. The other teretz, like you were mentioning before, that it's taka, that it's a hefsek. It's a hefsek. What's the problem of hefsek? Where's the vivait? You're making the bracha on the mitzvah of what you're covering, and you're being in the hand later. What's the hefsek? What'd say?
Look, it's also in the hand. Say the hadlock, don't say the hand is. Start off with the hadlock, and then you have no.
So you're saying the nehena is begeded that you still, like someone forgot to make a bracha on tefillin, so you could still make a bracha because you're still doing it. So the nehena later is pshat that it's still.
Are you talking between? Well, while she's lighting, she talks. feel that you could do that?
That's already breaking everything up. Here,
You're doing something unrelated. But you have to imagine unrelated.
Be'etzem, why not? What's the problem of talking is what? I mean, she's in the middle of doing a mitzvah, but talking out's what a hefsek for weird. She didn't make the bracha. If you make the bracha and then you talk, so you're not supposed to talk, but the bracha is later. It's very negay this. Where's the negay? It's stamazai negay, but it's negay if you have, some people have what they call like as a lighter, a silver stick that you put a candle inside. So that you can't put down. That you have to put out. You can just put it down. That you have to put out. So that's the shaila. Could you put out the match? Could you put out that long candlestick?
what's the chiluk? If you understand that the Hajj is both, it's the bracha and the Hadlokas. What's the chiluk that pertains to Judas?
What do you mean, what's the chilek?
Say that you have a machlokes when and you have a bahag over here.
I think the ikar of Sif Yud is all the chalakim al piza noigo and it's only noshim. That's the chiluk shabai.
So he's also the
L'maisa the Shitas Bahag, as the Shulchan Aruch brings, we're only choishish for the Shitas Bahag only by Nashim. To say a lady that lights Neiros, we're choishish for the Bahag that it's like a Kabbolas Shabbos, not men. And the reason for that is because men go to shul, they're going to be Kabbolas Shabbos anyways later, so maybe it's not a Kabbolas Shabbos. Though the Mishabura says to be machmer, to be choishish, even for men, the Bahag doesn't say it only by ladies, the Bahag says it across the board. Where machmer, the minig is only legabe noshim, and therefore Zakta Mishabura, we should be makbid by men also. Now of us, by men, they make a Tanai. We'll get to Tanai in a minute, but for them, they can be semech on Tanai. Being that we're choishish for the Shitas HaBahag, the Shulchan Aruch and Siman Tofrei Shayin Tes and Hilchos Chanukah, though you mentioned that Shloshim Yom Koydem HaChag, there's a big shaila by the way, if Shloshim Yom Koydem HaChag is only by Pesach or it's by the other Yom Tovim, but it's klar, not, the Achronim say that it's not by Purim. It's not by Purim, even though Purim has a Besachtas Megillah, there's a lot what to learn, it's not by Purim. And even though it's Medivrim Kabbolas, so Kolshka L'chayr not by Chanukah, there's no Shloshim Yom. But Akaponim, Negayat Hadlokas Neiros, the Shulchan Aruch says in Siman Tofrei Shayin Tes, Shabbos Chanukah, you have Shabbos Chanukah, you have two mitzvahs Timakayim. Mitzvah D'Rabbanan of Hadlokas Ner Chanukah, the mitzvah D'Rabbanan of Hadlokas Ner Shabbos. Which one comes first? Which one should come first? Be'etzem. Shulchan Aruch says that you light Chanukah lech and then Ner Shabbos. But be'etzem it should be the opposite, because Tada v'she'ena Tada Koydem. Ner Shabbos should come first. So why do we sin Ner Chanukah first? Because if we're going to sin Ner Shabbos, we're choishish for the Shitas HaBahag, that it's a Kabbolas Shabbos, and it'll be too late to light, you're not going to be able to light Ner Chanukah. L'maisa, Mishabur himself speaks it out. That's only b'negeya if a lady needs to do both, so Memela, she should light first Ner Chanukah. But by a man, as we saw, be'etzem, it's not a Kabbolas Shabbos. So be'etzem, that's most of the cases. If you have the wife is lighting Shabbos and the husband's lighting Ner Chanukah, be'etzem, you could do it the opposite, be'etzem. Though, as we mentioned, we're choishish be'etzem for the husband as well, but l'maisa we make it tonight. Where does it shtal z'chayse nafkamina? If you have a man that's lighting, it's not a Kabbolas Shabbos, and he lit Ner Shal Shabbos and he forgot to light Ner Chanukah, Avada, he goes and he lights afterwards Ner Chanukah, very clear. You have somebody forgot and he lit Shabbos, you go afterwards and light Chanukah. A lady that sinned in Ner Shabbos, she does not go and sin Ner Chanukah. She could have somebody make a shliach. She can make a shliach, somebody to light for her, but she can't sin anymore. Once she's in the Shabbos, she's Kabbolas Shabbos.
Even though you say Chanukah, if she can do for it, she gets to the chiyuv. They're the one chiyuv together. If she's doing the Kabbolas Shabbos, she can't light no Chanukah. She can do it with him.
You know, I'll answer you with a clarkite that she could be Yotza. Because why is it worse off than she could go and she can make a shliach? It's worse, ishtei kegufoi. If she was Kabbolas Shabbos already, she could ask somebody to light Chanukah lech for her. So she can't ask her husband to light Chanukah lech. Is it worse?
It's not a...
No, because she was Makabel Shabbos already.
Why could she have somebody do it for her?
So why? Because you could always make a shliach. Nothing to do with her. She was Makabel Shabbos. You're taking a flight and you can't light. You could ask somebody to light. To sit in the Beis. That's already Hilchos Chanukah. We'll get there. We'll talk. But you could. The Monsey, you could. You can make a shliach.
Even if you live,
So
that's clear? Yeah. If she lived in Kabbolas Shabbos, she make a shliach?
That's clear. The Mishnah says clearly in Hilchos Chanukah. Clearly. But what I want to point out and negate to tonight's shiur is that for the lady with choishish for the shitas habahag, and if she lit already Shabbos, she cannot do late Ner Chanukah. She can ask somebody, as opposed to a man, if he lit Ner Shabbos, he could still light Ner Chanukah.
She knew she had to send Chanukah, so she couldn't recover. Second, she made it rough before. Was Zichanat Mekabel.
I hear. I'll bring a ride to Yakasha soon. Lagabi Mincha. We'll get to it in a minute. Why don't you say it's muchach? But what's the big toast? She made a mistake. Okay, so she'll ask somebody. Lu Yitzu, you can't make a tana. I'm sorry, you can't make a shliach. Could be then taka. Maybe it's taka toyas. Yeah. The second chelik of the shiur I wanted to go into tonight. We'll see how much we could cover over here. I want to end on time. Tonight. So here's the thing. When a person is Makabel Shabbos, he says Mizman Shila Yom Shabbos. He says I'm being Makabel Shabbos. You can't make it tonight. It's not shaykh to make it tonight. You're Makabel Shabbos. These are machlokes lefi shitas hamahag. That these are Kabbolas Shabbos without Hadlokas and Neiros, and the lahadlik Ner shal Shabbos. Could you make it tonight? These are machlokes. B'meila. Because these are machlokes, one should be machmer negeya. It's only negeya for the ladies because we're only choishish for the bahag when a lady lights, but she should not make it tonight. Only if there's a tzorech. What is a tzorech? We'll get to Beis Hashem, but only if there's a tzorech. If there's no tzorech, she should not make it tonight. The when she lights is a Kabbolas Shabbos. As we mentioned before, a man that lights will be not choishish l'shitas habahag for a man. But even if you want to be choishish, hamiyu a tanai he can make. Before going into what's a tzorech, this is a very important halacha. It's more relevant when making an early Shabbos, but it's negeya b'chlal. Whether a lady is going to make a tanai if there's a tzorech, or even a man that's lighting. If he's going to light lecht an hour before Shabbos, it's really not nicker that he's being madlik l'tzorech Shabbos. Zok Shulchan Aruch Harav, that if you're lighting it right before Shabbos, so that it's nicker, so you can make a tanai. A lady when there's a tzorech, a man, even without a tzorech, you can make a tanai. But if, let's say, you're lighting it, you're making an early Shabbos, for an example, and you're lighting over there right after the plag, so it's not nicker that you're lighting it for Shabbos, tanai is not going to help. She can make a tanai, but somebody else has to be Makabel Shabbos with these Neiros, so it should be nicker that it's being done l'kavet Shabbos. What's considered a tzorech? So I think the most classical example, really an example would be is doing malacha, but be'etzim, so these are other people that could do the malacha. Namal, usually. Yeah, once the wife, the mother in their house was makabel, lit Neiros, so she's makabel Shabbos, still, the oven has to go on, the oven has to go off, you have to do this, the light, okay. So these other people that could do it. But a very negedig case of tzorech, the poshet case is davening mincha. Once you makabel Shabbos, you can't daven mincha anymore. That's a discussion for itself. I once gave a whole shiur on that. It's a whole topic for itself. But it's a separate nidun. You cannot daven mincha after you makabel Shabbos. So, well, we're not talking about a man. We'll get to a man also. We'll get to a man very good. But a lady, it's 18 minutes before the Zman, and she wants to light on time, but she didn't daven mincha yet. So she wants to make it tonight that she's not being makabel Shabbos without Hadlokas Ner, so she could daven mincha. So the Mishnah Berurah by us over here says clearly it's not called a tzorech. How do I know? The Mishnah Berurah says if she didn't have a mincha, she should have a ma'ariv twice. Why can't she make it tonight? The Teretz says it's not a tzorich. It's not a tzorich. Me'idach, Reb Shlomo Zalman, amongst others, the Chaim and others say that it's called a tzorich. It's called a tzorich. She could make it tonight. If she didn't daven mincha, it's better she should daven mincha before. But if she didn't get to daven mincha before, she can make it tonight and daven mincha after Hadlokas Neiros and then be makabel Shabbos. Interesting, the Divrei Yatzav, the Kloisenberger Rebbe says that it's only considered a tzorich if she davens mincha every day. However, the Be'er Moshe, the Debbetzin Rav and Tshuva says that if she davens mincha every day, then she doesn't even have to make it tonight. It's automatically that he's a tonight. It's automatically she's not makabel Shabbos. Like somebody mentioned before, what was the svar before? We said the emes is that the poskim say it lagabi a man. If a man sins lecht and be'etzim, if you want to be choshish that it's a Kabbolas Shabbos, if he didn't daven mincha yet, it's automatically that it's not a Kabbolas Shabbos. So that's one example of Tanai, a tzorich for a Tanai. Another example would be going to the Kaisel. Yeah, it's very shchiach. You're in Yerushalayim. You sinned lecht. It's actually 40 minutes. They light 40 minutes before the shkia. So this time you could have Kabbolas Shabbos. You have lichbench. You go into a taxi. You go to the Kaisel. Is that considered a tzorich? In Tzitz Eliezer, he says that it's considered a tzorich. And I think quite a lot of people are noig like that. Takata, the lady sins lecht, she makes a tanai, and then you take a taxi, you go to the Kaisel. Medrash Reb Shlomo Zalman held that it's not a tzorich. Somebody mentioned this before the Shiur. It's a discussion for itself. It's not negay in Hadlokas Neiros, but could be even going in a taxi. If she doesn't open the door, it could be a shaila, maybe that it's not even so poshut that it's aser. So maybe for that you could be soymech on a tanai, l'mar makam. Another tzorich, another example of tanai that's considered a tzorich. She wants to eat something. So I didn't see clearly. I saw that they declare if it's considered a tzorich. Befrat, you buy a simcha and told they're going to eat the suda is going to be 2.5 hours later. Is it a tzorich? Could she make a tanai that she's not makabel Shabbos and mamela she could eat afterwards? Drinking is a shaila. B'shas atchak, the poskim speak about it. That could be she could drink after Kabbalas Shabbos before Kiddush. It's Negeya. Hopefully it's not going to be Negeya, but it's Negeya this year. Sar B'Tevis falls out to be Friday. So you go to shul, you daven Kabbalas Shabbos Ma'ariv, and it's right away by the Zman, and she wants to take a drink. That's where it would be Negeya. What'd say?
Feed this place. So what time could you drink?
No. So, yeah, nothing. Yeah. Nothing to do with. It's not the night. The vart is not the night. You know why you can't? Also, you it's something to do with the shkia. The vart is when the shkia ready, so it's Shabbos. If you didn't make Toisa Shabbos, it becomes Shabbos. Yeah. So good.
So here you have it because it's still there.
No. I'm kamat zicher. It's clearly even by night. That's when it's negay. Asar b'tevis by night also. I'm going to double check on it. One more nakud over here. When this I'm going to conclude is a tanai lagabe yomtiv. Good. We said tanai letzorich. This is very important over here. Yomtiv. Could you make a tanai? So Rabbi said, this is negeya, very negeya, even for a man. For whatever, a man is lighting lecht in Yom Tif, Shabbos a t'nai helps. For a lady, if there's a tzorich. Yom Tif, Hayois is saying Shechiyanu, and you can't say Shechiyanu, you can't say on Erev Yom Tif. Shechiyanu v'gyanu lazman hazeh, it's Yom Tif. So that's clear with Shechiyanu, you makabel. Memela zog in the poskim, in Pri Yitzchak, amongst other poskim, I think of Shlomo Zalman, few poskim, a man, he's lighting lecht Erev Yom Tif, and then he wants to go and he wants to drive to shul. If he says Shechiyanu, he's makabel Yom Tif. The only eitz is not to say the Shechiyanu till later.
going to make a kiddush normally.
What'd say?
Normally he doesn't have kiddush anyways.
The man doesn't say
The
that.
man doesn't have kiddush anyway. We're talking about a man.
The man doesn't say that.
Huh?
A man doesn't say it by what he's madik before Yom Tov? I don't know. A man doesn't say when he's madik. A lady veismedach is taka that maybe it's a hefsek, she shouldn't answer, that's a whole separate discussion. A man veisachlish, a man that's madlik on Yom Tov, Erev Yom Tov doesn't say Shachianu?
She's saying he says a kiddush anyway.
There's the same reason why you don't say Shachianu on the Nullet before. You say it by the...
Aha. So it's interesting. So we wouldn't even be negeya. It's negeya, it's only for a lady. Interesting if they don't say it. It's very interesting, I hear.
A lady cannot say Shachianu.
If she's going to make a Tanai, Erev Yom Tov, we're talking about Erev Yom Tov, she's lighting Erev Yom Tov, what'd say?
English always says she shouldn't say like...
She should say it later. I don't know, once she didn't say it by Lech, she should already listen by Kiddush, but she shouldn't say it then. Just to conclude in the Indian of Shechiyana, with this I'm finishing, Vaite Me'inyan of Chanukah, as we just said, Me'inyan Le'inyan Ba'isa Inyan, that you don't make you can't make a Shechiyana on Erev Yom Tov. So the kasha is if the first day of Chanukah is Shabbos, so when do you light the first Lech? Erev Shabbos. Not this year, it's Thursday, it's Friday. Thursday night, Friday. The first lighting is Thursday night, but if the first night Yom Tov of Chanukah is Friday night, so how do you make a Shechiyana? The Rishonim asked the kasha. How do you make a Shechiyana on Erev Shabbos? But how do you make a Shechiyana? So these Torah about it. Moshe Sternbach says that becomes the Zman. But Al-Kabbalah, Be'etzim, when you make Shechiyana, it has to be that time. So Yom Tov, if a lady is madlik, Erev Yom Tov, and she says Shechiyana, that's for sure Kabbalas Shabbos. Kabbalas Yom Tov.